In today's Adobe Illustrator tutorial, you will learn how to create folded text with paper cutout effect. To create folded text, we'll use rectangle tool, gradient tool, drop shadow effect, and clipping mask. Then you'll see two different ways to add paper cutout effect. We'll use offset path and freeform gradient to create flowers, and to create tropic leaves, we'll apply 3D effect. You're watching TNT tutorials. Let's move on and create a new document. Select Print, A4, Horizontal Orientation. In Advanced Options, select RGB and click on Create. You can download this image reference, colors and sketch by the link in the video description. Just create layers for them, lock these layers, then create new layer. We won't rename it for now. I for eyedropper tool, pick this color, M for rectangle tool, and build rectangle like this. This rectangle should match proportions of your letter. Before you start to draw letters in Adobe Illustrator, it's better to play with design and decide which design do you want to use. V for selection tool, deselect this rectangle. I will change width of this rectangle just a bit, like so. Deselect it. I for eyedropper tool, pick this color, M for rectangle tool, build rectangle like so. V for selection tool, duplicate it here. It will snap to the center of base rectangle, then press Ctrl D to automatically duplicate it to the same distance, then hold Alt, duplicate this one here, rotate it, hold it Shift, place it like so, change proportions, duplicate this one here also, change proportions of this one. Now select this rectangle, A for direct selection tool, select this point, move it here, and move this one like so. Now select this rectangle, select this point, and bring it down. This angle should match. Basically the same here. Move this point here, move this point like so, and match these points. Select this one, pick this point, move it to the left. Now select this rectangle, this point, and move this point down. This point to the left, and this point up, like so. Now select them all, and let's apply gradient. With gradient we will see better what we are doing. You can find gradient tool here. My recommendation is to drag this tool right here to this panel, just like I did. Then select linear gradient, select this slider, color picker, pick this color. Now select this slider and pick this color. Then deselect all objects, select each one of them, press G after this, and change gradient's direction. Change direction just to see better what you are doing. Like so. Select these yellow layers, just move them here, duplicate this one like so, rotate it, align it to the center, bring it down, and now we need to match width of this huge rectangle. Don't do this like this, because you will change angle of this line. So pick direct selection tool, select these 2 points, hold it Shift, and just move them to the right. The same with these ones. Move them to the left. Now simply duplicate this part, rotate it like so, and place it here. Duplicate it once again, Properties, flip along horizontal axis, move it to the right. Pick points and move them like so. I will change gradient direction, like so. Let's bring this layer down, select these layers, and move them here. Now for all letters, we will use this part as horizontal, this part as vertical, and we will use such lines to make straight lines. To create letter M, select this one, duplicate it, rotate it like this, deselect it, select these 2 layers, and duplicate them like so. Right-click, arrange, send to back. I will change gradient direction here. Let's make all of these objects smaller, like so. Now let's create E. Just duplicate this layer here. A for direct selection tool, pick this point, and move it to the left. Now simply duplicate this layer like so. Press Ctrl D, duplicate this one, rotate it, and place it here. Change proportions. Now simply take this layer and bring it up. Arrange, bring to front. Let's change gradient directions. Let's bring this layer down. Move this letter here. Now let's create R. Just duplicate this layer. In Properties, click on Flip along horizontal axis. Duplicate this part. Place it here. Duplicate this part. As you can see, you're simply using templated parts to create all other letters. A for direct selection tool, and move this point like this. Duplicate this one, like so. A for direct selection tool, and move this point. Duplicate this one, move this point up, and move this one like this also. Now let's change gradient direction. Move these two layers up, and let's move this one down for now. Later we will place this layer on top of this one, but we will do this when we will apply shadows. So let's leave them like this for now. Place this letter somewhere here. Now we can delete this rectangle. Let's group each of these letters. Just select letter and press Ctrl G. Now move them close to each other, like this. I will make them a little bit smaller for now. Then select these layers, don't select this one. Start to move them like so and hold Shift also, just to make sure that you're moving them directly on needed axis. Like so. Then select these ones and press Ctrl D. The same with these two, Ctrl D, and with this one, Ctrl D. Now select these three layers, hold Alt, duplicate them here, and delete these two. You can press Ctrl R and drag Guide here, just to make sure that your letters are aligned. Align them like this. Let's bring them to the center. Create new layer. Rename it to background. I for eyedropper tool, pick this color. M for rectangle tool, and draw a rectangle like this. Let's change size of our artboard. Shift plus O, and just change it like so. Then simply press V for selection tool. Select background layer, gradient panel, select radial gradient, pick this marker, color picker, select this color, and for this slider, select this one. Now you can play with this slider and play with size of this ellipse, like so. Now press Ctrl 2 to lock this layer. Let's select these letters, make them a little bit smaller, like this. Zoom in, select this letter, double click on it. Right now we entered isolation mode, and we can work with this group, and all other layers won't distract us. I'm opening this group layer. Now we will do basically two steps over and over. We will apply shadow, and we will apply clipping mask. It might confuse you in the beginning, but it's very easy, and you will repeat it over and over with all letters. So we need shadow right here, and this shadow will fall from this object. So select this object, Ctrl C, Ctrl F, we've created a copy. Select first layer, not copied layer, Properties panel, click here on Choose an Effect, Stylize, Drop Shadow, Preview. I will set 0 here and 0 here for this one, 2 points of blurring, You can play with blending modes. I will leave multiply, and I will leave rich black color. I will set opacity to 80%. Click OK. Now we need this shadow only on this part, for example. So select this part. Here it is. Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F. Take this copy. Bring it up like this, just to the top of layer where we applied shadow. Select them both, this shadow layer and this new copied layer. Right-click, make clip and mask. And now we will do this over and over with all other parts. Now let's bring this layer up, and we need shadow to fall from this layer to this. So select this one, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F, pick first layer, Properties, Effects, Stylize, Drop Shadow. We've set all these settings, so let's just press OK. Now select this layer, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F, and bring this layer up. Select these two, right-click, make clip and mask. Now let's bring this layer down, and this one also. We need shadow to fall from this object to this one, so select this one, here it is, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F, pick this layer, Properties, Effects, Stylize, Drop Shadow, click OK. Now select this layer, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F, bring copy up to the top of layer with shadow, select them both, right-click, make clip and mask. Now we need shadow to fall from this object to this one, so select this layer, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F, select first layer, Properties, Effects, Stylize, Drop Shadow, OK. Now select this layer, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F, bring this layer up, select these two, right-click, make clip and mask. This is not all. Now you need to apply gradients direction. Just select Object when you want to change gradient direction, G for Gradient tool, and change it like so. I will change it here. Alright, so we are done with this letter. Double-click somewhere on the workspace. Double-click on this letter. And let's do exactly the same. Select this layer, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F. Select first layer, Properties, Effects, Stylize, Drop Shadow, click OK. Select this one, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F. Bring this layer up. Select these two, right-click, make clip and mask. Now we need shadow to fall from this layer to this one, so select this layer, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F, select this layer, Properties, Effects, Stylize, Drop Shadow. Now pick this one, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F, bring this layer up to the top of layer with shadow, select them both, right-click, make clip and mask. Now play with gradients direction, G for Gradient tool. Alright, another letter is done. I will do exactly the same to other letters. Now let's play with gradients. I will open this layer group, select this M letter, just duplicate it here to match position of this one. Now select layer without shadow and delete it. Let's move on with other letters. To apply shadow from this object to these two at the same time, just select these two layers, Object, Compound Path, Make. Now select this one. Do the same as we did, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F, select first layer, Properties, Effects, Stylize, Drop Shadow. Now select these two, Ctrl-C, Ctrl-F, bring them up, select layer with shadow, right-click, make clip and mask. Sometimes you can use this method. With this letter we need to place some layers up and some layers down. To do this easily, sometimes you can do it like this. Here, A for direct selection tool, move this point like so, select this object. You will understand this moment better when you will create this letter by yourself. Just remember this method. I will change gradient here so you could see better. Now we can select these three layers, right-click, arrange, send to back. We did this because we have some complex positioning of layers here. We need this layer be on top of this one on top of this one, and in the same time this layer should be behind this one, and on top of this layer. So to solve this problem, just change layers proportions like this. Now let's add shadows as usual. I need this shadow to be on top of this layer, so I'm selecting these layers. Right-click, arrange, bring to front, A for direct selection tool, and move these points to the right, like so. So there's how you should solve this problem. Now as you can see, we need this shadow to fall on this object. Let's just select these layers and try to put them down. Like this. It worked for us. Let's continue as usual. So some letters might be a little bit tricky. Just solve these problems by putting some layers up and some layers down, by changing their proportions, and you will create them. So now as we've created all these letters, let's rename this layer to Summer. Hold Alt, duplicate this layer like so. Rename this layer to Summer Shadow, with Summer Shadow layer selected. Click Unite. Now click here to choose an effect. Stylize, drop shadow, click on Preview. And now change X and Y offset, just as you want. I will set these values. You can copy them, you can play with your own. OK. Now let's lock these layers. Create new layer. Rename it to Flower. I for eyedropper tool, let's pick this color. P for pen tool. Drag line like this, hold Shift. Now build a point here. Hold Alt. Drag this handle to make sharp corner. You can hold Shift also. Click here. And connect these points. V for selection tool, deselect this object, select it again. O for reflect tool, hold Alt, click on this point, and click on copy. Select these two layers, properties, unite. Now press R for rotate tool, it's over here, hold Alt, and click on this point. Select preview, and right here enter 360, divide to 5. After you will click on preview again, you will see 72 degrees here. So that means that you don't need to count rotate angle each time that you need to copy some objects. Just enter 360 here, divide, and enter number of objects that you would like to have. Then click on copy. After this, press Ctrl D a couple of times. V for selection tool, let's select all these layers. Properties, Pathfinder, Unite. Now offset path, preview. I will enter this value here. Your value can be different. Click OK. With this object selected, select gradient, linear gradient, select this marker, color picker, pick this color, select this marker, and pick this one. V for selection tool, G for gradient tool, change direction like this. Play with this slider, like so. Select this one. Select freeform gradient. Select points. Pick gradient point. Color picker. Pick this color. Now click on this fill color icon. And make this color brighter, like so. Click OK. Now select one more point. If you don't have one more point here, and if you have color picker active, just click on color picker again, and then you will be able to add points. To remove points, you can click here, or you can simply drag them outside of the border, like this. So let's pick these points. You can also change colors like this. Just select point, click on colors. If you don't have this menu, window, color, and you will have it. To change lightness, it's better to use HSB mode. Just select it here and change it like this. We need some really bright color. I will delete these points. I will make this one even brighter. Now this point will work as highlights, and this point as something like shadows. If you want to duplicate some point, just select it, and then click to add one more point. If you need to copy this point, select it, and then click here. So that's how it works. Play with points to add highlights. You can change size of this gradient like this. If you see that you have too bright color here, you can hold Shift, select few points, color, and change color just a bit. You can select these ones and make darker color here, like so. You can deselect object to see what results do you have, and press G for gradient tool. If your gradient is not working, that means that you have stroke active, like this. If I select object and I have stroke active, I press G and nothing happens. So just select fill color icon, press G, and you will be able to work. Let's just copy these points. You just should see that this design works for you well and you like overall picture. Just move points like so. You can play with them, see how they work. I think I will stop on something like this. Now select this layer, Ctrl+C, Ctrl+F, make this one smaller, open gradient panel, select this point, you can double click here, swatches, let's select white color, don't change this color for now, properties, offset path, preview, let's leave the same settings, click OK. With this object selected, you can click here to edit gradient, open gradient panel. Now double click on this marker. Let's pick some kind of gray color, like this. Change gradient direction. Now select this object. Select freeform gradient. Delete unnecessary points. You can leave only one point for now. Select some really bright color. Now add one more point. Select a little bit darker color, like so. I see that this color is too dark, so I will change it to something like this. Now select this layer, G for gradient tool, and play with these points just as we did with previous object. Now press L for ellipse tool, draw ellipse here, I for eyedropper tool, and pick settings from this gradient. Let's center it, like so, just move it somewhere here, and then place it like so. You can press G for gradient tool, and change gradient direction. Now let's select this layer, properties, effects, stylize, drop shadow. Click on preview. You can play with these values just a bit. Play with opacity. I will set 40% here. I will also change blur into 4 points. And I will change color to something like this. I will just try this out. I think this looks good. I will try to play with opacity. And I will leave these results for now. Click OK. Let's select this object. Ctrl G to group. Now let's create leaf. I for eyedropper tool. Pick this color for now. P for pen tool. Drag handles like so. Create another point here. Hold Alt. Move this handle to make sharp corner. And connect these points. You can play with these proportions with direct selection tool. Like this. Now deselect this object. Select it again. O for reflect tool. Hold Alt. Click on this point. And click on copy. Select this part. Open gradient panel. Select linear gradient. Select this marker, color picker. Pick this color. Select this marker. Pick this color. Now select this part. I for eyedropper tool. Pick these settings. G for gradient tool. And play with slider. Select them both. Ctrl G to group. Ctrl C, Ctrl F. Select this layer. Properties, Pathfinder, Unite. Effects, Stylize, Drop Shadow. Preview. You can leave this color and these settings. Click OK. Let's just select these two layers. Ctrl G to group. Now you can make it bigger. Place it behind this flower. And play with it like so. As you can see, when you've applied drop shadow and when you rotate an object, shadow angle remains the same. I see that I can make points of freeform gradient here brighter. Double click on this object, select this layer, gradient panel, edit gradient, with holded shift select bright points, and I will make them brighter. Let's see what we have now. It looks better. I'll play with gradient tool here just a bit. Like so. The same for this one. If you don't want to isolate object with double clicking, you can pick A for direct selection tool, select layer, and then change gradient, for example. I will double click on this point, and we'll make this color darker. Just a bit, like this. I remind you that in this panel, you can click here and select HSB mode, RGB mode or CMYK. So play with these modes. I have applied white color here. I see that this object looks much better now. Let's place it here. And let's duplicate this flower like so. We will duplicate leaves. After this, you'll be able to change position of each flower later. You can zoom out to see your artwork better. I will place them like so for now. Let's copy some leaves. Now I will close this layer group, unlock background layer, select it, Ctrl C, target flower layer, and press Ctrl Shift V. Target this layer again to select all objects within this layer. Right-click, make clip-in mask. To edit object within clip-in mask, double-click. They are isolated from all other layers. You can move them like so, and change composition. This is very handy, so don't forget about clip-in mask. Now double-click, lock background layer, lock flower layer. If you will need to change it again, unlock it, double-click, and change. Now let's just pick this green color, create new layer. I will rename it to Tropic Leaves, P for Pen tool, click here to swap fill and stroke, and let's just redraw this sketch. Build smooth lines, let's avoid sharp corners, build lines like this, hold Alt, play with handle, don't build too many points. You can simply draw all shape and edit it after you will draw it. V for selection tool, deselect it, N for pencil tool, Press Enter and move this slider to smooth. Click OK and just draw these parts. Select this layer. Click here to swap fill and stroke again. If you need to fix some points, A for direct selection tool. Change them like this. Move handles, like so. Now select all layers, Properties, and in Pathfinder, select -front. This shape is done. Let's move with this one. We'll do exactly the same. P for pen tool, swap fill and stroke, and redraw it. Select this object, swap fill and stroke, select all objects, -front. Now it's time to create something with blend tool. P for pen tool, swap fill and stroke. Let's create this shape first. Hold Alt, move this handle to make sharp corner. Now to make sharp corner here, hold Alt again, and click on this point. Don't release Alt, and drag this line until you will be happy with the result. Now select this shape, swap fill and stroke, duplicate it here, rotate it like so, duplicate it one more time, make this one smaller, deselect it, pick blend tool, it's over here, click on this shape, then on this shape, then press Enter, select specified steps, click on preview, you can enter your own value. After you enter value, click on preview again. I will set 20 steps, click OK. Now P for pen tool, hold Alt, move it to this line, and when you will see that this tool changes to this, just drag this line like so. Don't release Alt, move these handles. Now V for selection tool. We want to change direction of these shapes. Double click on them. We are in isolation mode. Select this shape, rotate it like so. You can even move it. If you see that you have these results, A for direct selection tool, select this line, click on this point, and play with handle until you will get the result that you want. Double click to exit this mode. Let's pick this color again. P for pen tool, swap fill and stroke. Click on this point to start building line. Then click somewhere here, drag it like so. You can drag it just a bit like this, then hold Alt and move this handle. V for selection tool. Let's change width of this stroke. I will change it to 2 points, even to 3 points. Let's move this object like this. Now you can select these blended layers to be able to move each one of them separately. Object, expand, click OK. Now double click to enter isolation mode, and you can move them like so. Let's move this one here, so that layers won't distract us. Select these layers, hold Alt, duplicate them, flip along horizontal axis, double click on this layer group, and move these objects like this. We could do the same with blend tool. We could reflect blend tool and play with curve. It's up to you to decide which way to choose. Now select this line, object, expand. This is not line anymore, this is just an object. Select these layers, properties, unite. Now this is one object. Let's bring it here for now and create another one. Duplicate this layer, rotate it like this. A for direct selection tool to play with handles. Duplicate this layer here, make this one smaller. We will need to add one more shape here, in the middle of these two. Make it a little bit smaller. Deselect it. Now blend tool, pick these 3 shapes, enter, specified steps. I will enter 3 here, click OK. Now double click to enter isolation mode, pick this one, rotate it like so, place it here, then pick this one, and rotate it just a bit. V for selection tool, select them all, P for pen tool, hold Alt, and you can change this line, like so. A for direct selection tool to play with handles. I will move this handle, like this. Exit isolation mode, double-click somewhere on the workspace. Now duplicate these blended shapes. Flip along horizontal axis. A for direct selection tool. And play with handles like so. You don't need to be too precise, you'll be able to expand them and move them by yourself. Let's select these two objects. Object, expand, click OK. P for pen tool, swap fill and stroke, draw line like this, hold Alt, move handle, V for selection tool, change stroke to 3 points, double click on this group, replace these objects, double click to exit this mode, double click on this group, move these ones also. Now let's rotate some of them. Select this line, object, expand, OK. Move this one here. I will move these ones. Select them all. Unite. Let's hide sketch layer. Just place these leaves as you want. I will hide reference and colors layers. Change their size, change their positions. You can duplicate some of them, rotate them differently, and place them like so. If you want to replace flowers, unlock flower layer, double-click on flowers, and just move them. As you can see, it's very handy to have clip-in masks. Double-click to exit this mode. Take a look if you like everything. If not, double-click again. Let's lock flower layer again. Now let's target tropic leaves layer. Duplicate it like this. Rename it to tropic leaves shadow. Properties, effects, stylized, drop shadow. Click on preview. Let's change color to rich black. Let's change opacity to 50 or 40%. Click OK. And after this, you can play with each other's settings. So you might want to change shadow settings for this one, for example. Select it. Change some values here. You can change opacity or blurring. Click on preview. You might want to decrease opacity, for example. Now open this layer group and place this tropic leaves shadow layer right here. Now this layer within this layer group. Let's unlock background layer, select it, Ctrl+C, target tropic leaves layer, Ctrl+Shift+V. With all these layers selected, right-click, make clip-in mask. You can delete unnecessary layers, double-click to enter isolation mode, select this layer for example, Effect, 3D, Extrude and Bevel, select Front, Preview. Let's rotate it just a bit. You can choose which angle do you like the most. Change extrude depth. I will change it to 25 points now. Select no shading. Click OK. If you are not sure with this angle, properties. Click on this applied effect. Select plastic shading. To be able to view this effect better, then just simply open Layers panel. With this targeted layer, you can see that this circle is different than others. That means that this layer contains some effect. This is our 3D effect now, so just duplicate it, hold Alt, and drag it to other layers, like so. You don't want to duplicate it to layers with shadow. Now if you see that this angle works well for you, you can leave it. If not, select these layers, Properties, select Applied Effect, Preview, and change rotation like this. This is too crazy, I just wanted to show you how you can handle with it. Play with Extrude Depth. I will leave previous results. After this, select No Shading, click OK, Object, Expand Appearance. I will exit this isolation mode for now. We'll make Colors layer visible again, place it somewhere here. Let's work with this layer. Double-click on this clipping mask, double-click on this layer. We've isolated this one. Open this layer group. As you can see, there's too many shapes here. So what you want to do is to select all this object, hold Shift, deselect this first layer. Now we have all these small objects selected. Press Ctrl G to group them. Now, as we have them selected, eye for eyedropper tool, and pick this bright color. Select this layer, gradient, linear gradient, apply these colors for these markers, V for selection tool, G for gradient tool, change direction of gradient. If you don't see gradient tool, that's not a big deal. You can see how it applied on your object, so just drag it like this. Double-click to exit this mode. If you want to change gradient here quick, A for direct selection tool, select this shape, G for gradient tool, and play with gradient. If you see that you have picked wrong colors, select Markers, Color Picker, and pick needed colors. Now double-click on this one, double-click again, open this layer group, hold Shift, deselect this layer, Ctrl G to group, eye for eyedropper tool, pick this bright color. You can exit this isolation mode, A for direct selection tool, select this object, eye for eyedropper tool, and copy this gradient. G for gradient tool, change gradient direction, like this. Now let's do the same with all other objects. After this, you can play with any layer. To be able to control your artwork, you should have well-organized workspace, just like this. In conclusion, I would say that to create folded text, you basically need only to come up with design. All letters should match it. Then just use technique that you've learned today, and you'll create your own unique folded text. Keep in mind both ways to create paper cutout design. They're both handy, and you can easily combine them to get live and detailed illustration. If you learned something new from this tutorial, drop a comment below, let me know if everything was clear enough for you and what you liked about this video. If you enjoyed this tutorial, support this channel by clicking on subscribe, and what's most important, by clicking on the bell icon to get notifications about newest tutorials from TNT. I would also appreciate if you'll click thumbs up and will share this video. This was TNT Tutorials. See you in next videos.